We're deep in the heart of Bavaria this weekend, where the beer is cold, the bratwurst is sizzling, and the racing is absolutely electric. Willkommen to Wackersdorf. This is Pro-Kart Raceland, a technical titan of a circuit famed across Europe for its relentless rhythm and no room for error overtaking zones. With 1.2 kilometers of curbs, camber and carnage, Wackersdorf demands everything from a driver: precision, patience and a little bit of madness. It's the kind of place where champions are forged in the heat of battle, and one missed apex can end your weekend faster than you can say flat out through turn number 1. IAME Euro Series round 3 is held here, and the year of opening of the circuit, 1997. Event record set not in qualifying. Danny Carinini in qualifying Heat B versus D with a 49.532, an astonishingly quick time on a fresh set of tyres out there. But the track itself, let's take a closer dive into the circuit itself. It's 230 metres down that start-finish straight. Total track length 1,190 metres. It's then 125 metres on the infield straight. 9 to 12 metres with 3 metres of elevation change. It's a bit of an undulating circuit here, but the majority of the circuit is relatively flat. Turns out there are many of them for the drivers to negotiate. 11 here on the screen, but I count 14. I'll have that argument with the production team later. 7 to the right, 4 to the left, and 4 hairpins out there as well. Each and every one of those corners provides its own unique overtaking opportunities. We see them in towards turn 2. Turns 4, 9 and 10 as well. Tight, demanding circuit. Flowing though for the drivers, because they will reach a dizzyingly high top speed in towards the likes of turns number 1, where you will see them reach 120 kilometers an hour into that fast sweeping right-hander. They average around 85 kph over the lap, meaning it is still a fast and demanding circuit. Myself, Anthony, Jordan and Nicole Sutherland in the commentary box. We're ready to go racing. Yesterday was a very busy day. It was a hot day as well, and judging by that live picture, it's going to be another hot one, not only on the circuit, but in the sky as well. But we're looking forward to 9 races today, Nicole, and it all starts with the Superheats coming up very soon.
Absolutely does. And we head off first with our minis, then our youngest category here this weekend. Drama out there on the track for some of them, but it really was the fusions within the minis that jumped to that top end of the order. And we'll head into this on the correct foot. Like you just said, Anthony, hottest day we've had so far for round 3. It's going to be difficult for the drivers out there.
Yeah, it certainly will do. But yes, indeed, for the drivers, they can see themselves primed and ready to go for this one. First race coming up will be Superheat 1 for Mini X30. That's going to be the one to keep a close eye on, because, well, Christian Kobe and Austin Newstead on the front row for this one. Christian Kobe, brilliant day yesterday. Not the best qualifying, 7th overall, but still finding himself fighting right at that sharp end, and he'll be starting this one on that P1. There he is on your screen. Gave a shout out to his girlfriend yesterday in his post-race interview as well.
Caught me off.
Caught you off guard.
Caught me off guard.
There we go, and I think he's just heard me. So there we go. But he is ready to go racing for this one. And let's see what happens, because like you say, the Irishman has certainly delivered some really strong results over the weekend. Like you say, only one race. We didn't come with the race win. There's a look at the schedule over the course of today. We've got, like you say, a multitude of Superheats to get through, starting with X30 Mini, then to the juniors, and then to the seniors before we start the finals. That'll be kick-starting at around 1 o'clock on the broadcast. But green flag racing down at around 1:15. That starts with the minis, juniors, and then the seniors that will round out the day. The longest races they will do this weekend, extending quite a bit from yesterday's racing. So a little bit more work to do today. And already, Nicole, with the sun shining, it is warming up there pretty nicely.
Absolutely is. Air temperature out there so far is 24 degrees. Yesterday we had 29 heading into late afternoon, but already dizzyingly warm out there. Led by Christian Kobe and Austin Newstead off of the grid. Anthony, who else have we got?
Well, like you say, you mentioned the front row, Kobe and Newstead locking it out after 7th and 5th in time qualifying. They start this one on the front row of the grid. George Clark in his first ever European pole position in qualifying will start this on the second row of the grid alongside Colby Patterson. Aurelia Longatano and Ilya Sami will go from row 3 with Nahil El Gahoudi, who didn't even set a time in qualifying, now finds himself on the 4th row of the grid in Superheat 1, and he'll start alongside Matis Brajo.
Row number 5 includes Min-Jae Kim and Nahil Pudovani, and from 6 we have Andy Stewart and Orion Mehta. 7 is Edin Karesovic with Martin Chechen Gomez, and from row number 8, all alone on 15th, we have Denver Bos of the Netherlands.
Let's see what these drivers can do. And for all these drivers, it's a case of, let's see what sort of more points we can get on the board in this one. There's a look at race control. Head of race control, Joanna Falcao, joined by Sam Fisher and David Manchester. They're keeping an eye on anyone. There's an imposter in there in the form of Christian Mir. He's now left the scene, which is good. And now it's just left to those 3. Live feed, there's still everyone watching from the balcony of the grandstands. They can see everyone watching alongside. Everyone who's just helping out and mechanicking for the team and working hard over the course of this weekend as well. Because it's not only about the drivers, it's about the people who work behind the scenes as well. Marshals out there, the mechanics, the officials, everyone has done an incredible job this weekend. And yeah, like you say, we look forward to seeing what they can do. Right, favourite time of the day now, Nicole, and favourite time of the race. It's time for some synchronisation for the drivers as we see the back of Martin Bean's head, our race director this weekend. Oh, there you go. That's a good one to start the day. That's a solid 9.5, I think, for me, because I didn't see all of it. Here we go then, in towards the tram lines. First race of the day, Mini X30 is lights out and racing. It's a solid start for the front 2 rows. Keep an eye on Kobe and Newstead as they go wheel to wheel. Newstead's going to go down to 3rd place, but now they've got the momentum on the outside, and Newstead surely is going to try and carry the speed through. He can't, and he gets squeezed down to the exit curb, and now through down the inside. Am I right in saying, is that a premium karting, but surely not the premium karting machine? It is. That, my word, is Orion Mehta, who started this right at the back of the grid on row 6, is now in P2.
Drivers all backing each other up into that turn 4 for the first time as we've got moves going on down the inside. No, we don't. George Clark trying to defend from the drivers behind. Patterson looks like he missed out at that start but has picked things back up again. And Ilya Sami did have a good break to the line, but looks like he's struggling now back at the further end of your order. Over towards the start-finish line they will go for the first time, and your top 5 does include Christian, Kobe, Orion Mehta, the premium driver, has jumped all the way up the order to sit in 2nd, 10th place gain, then only a lap matched by Denver Bos, who rounds out your top 5. In towards turn number 6 they go. This is a hot spot for those drivers. Are we going to see moves going on? Yes, we do, because back end in the order, I think that's Karesovic overtaking Austin Newstead potentially. Christian Kobe leads into turn number 9 and 10. Out and gets the run, but Orion Mehta looks hungry, sat there in that 2nd position. Well,
he's putting himself up to 5th in the intermediate classification, of course, but there is another race to go after this one, and now he's under pressure. Opens up the door, and through goes the field. Not only just one of them, 5 of them. So Mehta will lose out to Clark, Longatano, Boss, and I think Nahil El Gahoudi, who all managed to get through there. Over the line they go, and yeah, Mehta drops down to 6th place now. Denver Boss is now up 12 places into 3rd. He has got a full set of brand new tyres on board. He has just lost out, though, to the 2 drivers there around him, Nahil El Gahoudi and Longatano, sending it down the inside. They're now swapping paintwork as well, as Longatano heads up now into 3rd place. El Gahoudi still on a charge here. The driver who didn't set a time in qualifying had brilliant results over the course of yesterday, pushing through the field from the back of the grid, and is now finding himself up in that top 5.
Austin Newstead then trying to get himself onto the back of this pack. First of all, lost 6 positions, has plucked 2 more places off, so it's only a loss of 4 currently. Now you can see him going over the crest, trying to chase down the likes of Denver Boss, who is your biggest hitter so far. Kobe crosses the line with a 9/10 gap. 0.996 he leads by. And with this battle going on your screen with the likes of George Clark, Aurelio Longartano and Nihil El Gahoudi, it looks like Christian Kobe could be gifted a bit of more space. Clark leads this train into turn number 6. Isn't challenged by Longartano just yet. The driver of George Clark, who headed into this weekend and polled it overall, a first pole in Europe for the driver that's jumped over to the Fusion team for 2025. Looking strong, sat there in second. Longartano still not trying to go for a move, as the gap now between Kobe and Clark actually reduces to 0.8 of a second. No challenge at all by Longartano once more. Maybe these three just trying to separate themselves from the likes of Austin Newstead and Denver Boss, who have now changed positions.
Well, we've not seen this sort of situation over this weekend. Kobe, who leads at a midway point of a race by 0.8 of a second. These three will know the drill. Stay line astern, use the bump draft, use the slipstream, push forward, but they have to make sure they don't trip over each other in this infield section. You can already see the time starting to creep down just that little bit, down to 0.6 of a second now. They took 0.2 out of Kobe's lead on that last lap. So again, they are just showcasing that they have got the pace, they have got the rhythm now. Just hopefully that they all continue that trend of working together. As soon as one of them goes to the moon, Longartano goes to the road, that's it. They're going to lose Kobe. If El Gahoudi goes through it, that's it. They're also going to lose Kobe, because Clark on his own will not be able to close in on Kobe unless he's got a quicker pace, of course. They need to stay in that 1-2-3 configuration right now until they get onto that rear bumper, and then they can start to attack. The gap stays at 0.6, but still watching to the next sector, because this is where they gain the time.
Absolutely is. Down the inside then goes Longartano on Clark.
I think that was okay.
That was, it set it up well going through turn number 3. Longartano now leads through turn number 6. Nothing too untoward for the likes of El Gahoudi. He's not attempted the move on Clark as well, and Clark didn't really lose out massively as Christian Kobe goes 0.5 clear now only from Longartano in second, so that gap really is being reduced, and there is plenty of time actually for it to come down for the driver who finished in 12th position in the championship last year, who had a P5 at Cremona, a podium at Zuera, and a driver who really is hunting down to try and one-up himself compared to that 3rd position at the previous round. Here we go then under the lights once more, and now it's 0.4. Kobe,
less than that now.
I think, is going to be under pressure. It's just under 0.4 now. Aurelio Longartano really pushing as Clark is now getting overtaken through 4th corner by El Gahoudi. El Gahoudi on the charge after that torrid qualifying, has found some fire and now finds himself in 3rd position, the highest up he's been this weekend so far.
It was a feisty overtake, but they didn't help out the drivers trying to chase down Christian Kobe. Now, understandably, you know, any driver's going to go for a move if he feels it's justifiable to do so. But sometimes it is better to think about the bigger picture, and they were so close to being on that rear bumper, and now they're going to have to do all that work again. Longartano still clear by about 0.5 seconds. Now from Nihil El Gahoudi, who's having a storming race in this one. George Clark holding on to P4 right now for the rest of the field. And they can see them in the background there. Austin Newstead still there with Patterson and Denver Boss. They're still battling away nicely. In Meta, who was up into that sharp section. All good. As down the inside, that's a nice little change there. Colby Patterson on the move. Steps up into P5, and the reason he's done that is because he's seen that now they've caught up at the front. It's a group of 4. They're expecting fireworks at the sharp end. Absolutely
are, because look at the gain that Longartano has got now on Christian Kobe. Looking aggressive there through turn number 4 as, turn number 9 as he kisses the curb. Through turn number 11, and this is the stage. Christian Kobe's feeling some pressure, sits on that white line, and Longartano actually bumps into the back of the bumper of the Fusion driver. Now he's getting put under pressure by El Gahoudi, who looks like he could be getting overtaken by Clark going into that final turn. Clark goes down the inside and gets himself back into 3rd, makes it stick as they head over the start-finish line. Kobe looking to the mechanics on the grandstand to try and gauge what he should be doing, as we've lost one of the drivers further back. That's Martin Chechin Gomez that went off onto the grass. Kobe still leading, still looking over his shoulder as it's now turned into a 6-car battle for this lead. Kobe swaps lines a couple of times there. Clark holds on to third. We've got drivers getting pushed off. That's Colby Patterson now getting involved, ran a little bit wide onto the rumble, finds himself back in the fight once more as Clark now dives round the inside of Aurelio Longatano. So now it's Christian Kobe from George Clark.
Green flags are out, indicating that someone's gone off. Look at this, 4 wide on the exit of turn and number 11 in towards turn 12, and this is where it's all going to heat up now. Down that back straight there was the reason. That's Aaron Meta. Unfortunately, the premium karting driver who looked absolutely unstoppable at the start of this race is out of it. Over the start finish line, last lap board comes out for Mini X30 Sumi 1, and it's Kobe who leads the way from George Clark right now. Nahil Al-Gahoudi is going to be looking for his best result of the weekend, as Kasetovic unfortunately has picked up a warning flag. Right on this one here, Nahil Al-Gahoudi, I think, is all about holding on to third place. And right now, Austin Newstead, Colby Patterson, Denver Boss, Aurelio Longatano are all trying to squeeze their way through. But right now, they just can't seem to find the gap. There's broken off a little bit more of a gap now between the two of them. It's Al-Gahoudi and Newstead line astern for third place in this one. But at the front of it, it's Christian Kobe and George Clark, the two Fusion drivers who are going line astern and will be heading to that checker flag. Kobe has done a brilliant job to fend off the field here as he will round the final corner and be witness the checkered flag for the first time today. Christian Kobe takes the P1 spot. Clark finishes second. Denver Boss finishes in third, ahead of Nahil Al-Gahoudi and Austin Newstead. So it all kicked off for third place just behind Denver Boss for the XL Motorsport team. His best results of the weekend, and it comes from third place with a 12th place gain. Nahil Al-Gahoudi finishing in P4 ahead of Austin Newstead. Colby Patterson rounds out the top 6. That was a tough race for some drivers, and in the intermediate classification, you can see it there. 234 points for Christian Kobe. He is going to be starting on pole position for that final. That is a superb drive for him. That's another win on the board for the Irishman. George Clark will step up to second in the points with 197 ahead of Austin Newstead's 195. Colby Patterson, fourth from Nahil Al-Gahoudi. Aurelio Longatano and Denver Boss. But you have got in 8th in the points, Harry Williams with 138 points to his name. The pole sitter for the next race has got some work to do. There's a look at your results then on your screen. Patterson in 6th place, Aurelio Longatano in 7th. Andy Stewart with a good race there into P8 ahead of Min-Jae Kim. Aiden Kasetovic, unfortunately, he has got a warning flag in that race. Brajo, Ilyas Sami, you've got Nahil Padavani, Martin Chechin, and Aaron Meta, all with a tough race on that one. Another driver picked up a warning flag early on in the race. The 4:57 of Min-Jae Kim, unfortunately, also will be picking up a 5-second time penalty. Here's the highlights from it. Kobe with a good start here. Newstead on the outside. Now, this is the moment in towards turn 4, into the banking. Watch him all the way here, gets caught out onto the gravel with a couple more as well. Just squeezes them off the circuit. But the biggest part of all of that was the driver at the end of this one finishing in 15th place, Orion Meta, who was up into 2nd place at the start of that race, and then unfortunately just gets squeezed by the pack. Slowly faded down into the order and unfortunately ending the race in P15. Race going on though, and in the early stages here you had the likes of, like I say, George Clark, Nahil Al-Gahoudi and Austin Newstead all vying for position. But Aurelio Longatano, sorry, I should say, they were all fighting for position on this one. Longatano going for the move, firstly, to get down the inside of George Clark. It was a clean overtake. They would later close in on that one. That was the Patterson on Newstead overtake, just in the background. Then you had Nahil Al-Gahoudi, who was vying for a best finish of the weekend, and actually still did get that best finish of the weekend. A P4, still the best results for the Moroccan driver for MDC Racing, but still had a lot of work to do in that race. Kobe and Clark, though, crossed the line. 1-2 for them, and for Christian Kobe, that's another big chunk of championship points that he will add to his tally. Christian Kobe currently sits third in the points, going 25 yesterday, and we'll add another 25 there. Let's head over to Park Ferme and to Nicole Sutherland.
Race winner Christian Kobe is next to me then. Christian, another good heat, super heat win for you out there, and it's looking like you're lining yourself up for a pole in the final.
Yeah, I've had some really good heats. Hopefully I start pole for the final. Yeah, just need to do that same thing in the final and we'll be okay.
And Christian, your teammate of George Clark, I think, helped you out at one stage because he overtook Aurelio Longatano. At that point in the race, you were actually being caught up, especially through turn number 9 and 10. Were you panicking a little bit when that started to happen?
Well, I was panicking a little bit, but then I kind of just calmed myself down and kept driving the way I know to drive.
Absolutely, and the overtakes you made yesterday as well, Christian, you've shown us that you absolutely know how to drive this circuit, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I know this circuit very well from last year. Just got unlucky last year as well. Yeah, I know this track very well.
And then Christian, going into the finals later on, are there any more thoughts on your mind?
Win, that's the only thing on my mind.
Absolutely, and with the way that you're going, it looks like that could be on the cards. Christian, well done for a super heat win. We'll head back up then to Anthony Jordan because we've got more Mini X30 super heats coming up.
It's just the one, actually. But yes, Mini X30 Superheat 2. That's a Hot Fuzz reference, if anyone got that. But yes, indeed, Superheat 2 coming up next. Harry Williams and Mason Hibbert will be your front row sitters for this one. And looking at the points at the moment, for Harry Williams sits 8th in the intermediate classifications. A win here will put him in a good spot, but he just needs to push himself forward. Now, Harry Williams not there. Well, he is there, but he's not seated yet. Still not got his neck brace on. It's taken his time there as he takes a seat now within his wagon. Mason Hibbert alongside.
Ross, could you do me a favour and just have a word with the front two for this next start, please? Nice and slow, not too early on the gas at the corner, and no playing games coming into play.
Oh, well, there you go. Word being said, of course, maybe that first race that we saw there was maybe a bit feisty at the front end where we saw some dramas. So the word will have been had already to the two. There is Harry Williams for Fusion Motorsport, like we were mentioning. Currently sits 8th in the intermediate classification, 2nd in the championship, behind the likes of George House, who so far has dominated the points until yesterday. He took his first loss of championship points, 6 points to his name. However, of course, going into this, you can still drop your worst scoring qualifying heat. So if anything, he is still technically on 200 championship points after drop scores. But we'll go into that one in the final round of the championship, because that's where it really plays into effect, and it's the same for your Superheats and for your finals. So if you score a perfect scoring season, you have to drop still 50 or 100 championship points for your name. So it is one of those. Right, but like we were saying, still going to be a very interesting one there. You were seeing Mason Hibbert getting himself lined up in this one. For Hibbert, he sits a little further down in the championship order, 13th in the points, got his best score of championship points yesterday. 17 points to his name, puts him on 44 championship points, joint on Mason Brooks. But Mason Brooks, unfortunately, not here this weekend. So hopefully we do see him out again in the final round in Marienburg. But eyes will stay focused on the grid that is here. Still yet to be seated is Mason Hibbert. So he jumps in now. There we go. Good to see. Daniel Ferguson there as well, just behind him. Miko Shivers as well has had good results. But I'm going to keep an eye on Daniel Ferguson as well, because he is a driver who has won on circuit, and he has pushed his way through pretty nicely. There is a look at your hard-working, dedicated marshals this weekend. The Streckers Crew KCT marshalling team here this weekend, who have been delivering fabulous stuff, as well as Tatiana and Tizia, who have been giving us our synchronization yellow flags, who I am sure we will see very, very soon as the engines fire up. Drivers make their way out onto the circuit. Let's quickly fire you through that full starting lineup for Mini X30 Super Heat 2. Harry Williams, second in qualifying behind the likes of George Clark. Will start this one on pole position alongside Mason Hibbert, Miko Schuvers and Daniel Ferguson will go from row number 2. George House, current championship leader, starts this one on row 3. We'll have Milan Baku for company alongside Johnson Stewart, and Oliver Waitons will round out the first half of the field.
Row number 5 includes Abraham Shelvish and Mason Kwong after average days yesterday during heats. And then on 6 we have Martin Rodriguez with Mattis Peasons. 7 includes Alex Riley with Marcus Alberg. And then on your 8th row, rounding out your grid, we have Felipe Massard.
For these drivers now, the job is simple. Lights the flag, calm race, clean race, and get to that final later on. All of these drivers will make it to the final. There is no one who is going to get eliminated from this. 30 drivers entered into the weekend, so it's a full capacity, well, not full capacity grid, that would be 36, but still a very busy grid of drivers will do battle in that final. That's going to be an exciting one to watch as we see some dust get kicked up there as drivers going off the circuit while trying to get some temperature into those tyres. Only one driver putting on a brand new set for this one from Norway, Marcus Alberg, who was currently starting this one on the 7th row of the grid in P14. Will be a driver to keep an eye on. Like you say, in that last race, we saw the likes of Denver Boss. He had a brand new set. He pushed his way through the field, as well as Aron Meta, who had an astonishingly good start. 10 places gained on the opening lap. Brilliant to see. Right, here we go. Tatiana and Tizia, give us our best synchronization here on this one. I'd give that solid 8.9. There we go. Right, you always pull a face when I say a score. Right, here we go into the tram lines. Mini X30 Super Heat 2 is lights out and away they go. Down in towards turn number 1. And it's a good start for the front rows, but keep an eye on the likes of Miko Shoas, who dives into second place with that optimal inside line. But right round the outside, Mason Hibbert's going to try and carry the speed. And he does successfully do that. And he slots himself back into second place and immediately goes on the defensive. Harry Williams holds on to the lead then as they exit out of that tight infield section as they start to speed up now through the infield chicane.
Daniel Ferguson holding on to that 4th position for now, but being pushed around slightly by the likes of George House, who obviously came into this weekend as your championship leader. That second place is being defended heavily. Now we've got Harry Williams out in the front, who's been gifted a bit of a break away. Ferguson dropped down after an overtake made by House, who's now heading over the crest in that 4th position. Over the line they will head, and Harry Williams really has jumped this start well. He's on the money this morning because it is an 8/10 gap that he has got over teammate of Mason Hibbert, as that's the 417, one of the XLs at the back of the order.
Yes.
That's Alex Riley now going really slow with some Nasso panel damage. Eyes on this one, move down the inside, as we've got now one of the other fusions
that's
is
Peasons.
off, so Peasons out of the race. Eyes on this one at the front of the field. Williams still trying to open up that gap from Schwiers. Hibbert still there. Schwiers has overtaken Hibbert for that P2. Round turn number 11 they will go, and actually a bit busier than our first mini superheat of the day. Through they'll go. House still trying to hunt down to get himself into the top 3. Just not quite looked as on the money as he did in Cremona and in Zuera, where we obviously saw him have those 2 final wins. It's not out the question going into finals later, but he doesn't look as sharp as we've maybe seen him earlier on this weekend. Down the inside, Hibbert goes. House follows him through, so now it is Williams from Hibbert from House as your 1, 2, 3.
It certainly is. Change that now to House down the inside at turn number 6. Gets it done, nicely done, and moves up into second place. This is more like it, but just like we saw in that first superheat, Nicole, we've got an extended gap of over a second now between first and second place. This was that incident at turn number 11. Unfortunately, the Classic just drive over the top of them and that is why Alex Riley had a lot of damage to the front NASA panel, and unfortunately for Mattis Pearson, is out. And that is the 477 of George House from second place is out of this race. Damage to the NASA panel, and what on earth happened there right in front of some of the officials, but my goodness me, he was fighting there with the likes of Schewers and Ferguson. What's happened? Because right in the house, got to the outside. Hibbert's gone to the inside, late into the corner on the exit. Carbon copy of what we saw from Alex Riley and Mattis Pearson's earlier on. And this time around, it will be happening to our front runners. And that is a huge shame. So MDC Racing's Mikko Schewers then gets up into second place with Daniel Ferguson for company. However, Harry Williams now is clear by a staggering 2.3 seconds, Nicole, at the halfway point of this race.
Johnston Stewart sat there in sixth place. He's trying to catch up to the likes of Oliver Vitens there in fifth, having a good battle, and has been continuing to pick off places throughout the weekend. Schwers still leading this second pack of karts, but Daniel Ferguson looking hungry. They're going through turn number 3, opens things up to try and get the run down into turn number 4, and does exactly that. Down the inside, Ferguson goes. Schwers now under threat by Baku and Vitens there as well, and Baku goes down the inside, and as does Vitens. Now then, Schwers dropping a smattering of positions within only 2 corners, and what's that's done? That's given Daniel Ferguson a bit of breathing room. He can now try and push away and get settled down in that second place.
There you can see your points from the Superheats. At the moment, Harry Williams, who leads the way, is the man who sits now second in the points, 228 intermediate classification points. He will be taking 22 championship points at the end of this one, second in the championship, and that will be nicely received from him. Of course, that's still a long way to go in this race as they head through. The question of what we're seeing here, we're not going to see these drivers close in on Williams. He's too far ahead, and secondly, you haven't got really any teammates in this one. You've got Daniel Ferguson, Lone Fusion, who's now broken away from the rest of it, but you've got the DML Motorsport driver of Oliver Waitens, you've got the Eichmann's Grand Prix Racing Team driver of Milan Baku, Fusion Motorsport of Mason Hibberts in the middle of that one, the Pantalo Racing Team driver of Abraham Shelvis, and then Mikko Schewers for MDC Racing. And then you got Johnson Stewart and on XL Motorsport, and then you got Mason Quaggan at OMS. And then it keeps going, actually, because then you got VDK Racing with Rodriguez, Team Pro Karting, and then VDK. So it just showcases it's all different teams. There's no teammates out there working together at the same time, which is why you're seeing these constant little micro battles and overtakes here and there, and no one's able to close in on Williams.
Well, you say micro battles, but there's a mega battle going on further down the order for that third place. Baku leading from Hibbert, Vitens and Shelvis. They were having a lot to say to each other on that previous lap. Overtakes in that midfield section as we've got more going on down towards turn number 4, the 4-6-2 of Shelvis trying to have a look, gets it wrong and almost goes over the front of Vitens there. More challenges are being attempted in through turn number 6, and that has given Johnston Stewart now the opportunity to hook onto the back of this train. Hibbert down, leading the way from the likes of Baku into turn number 11. No challenge by Baku just yet, but currently as it stands with the positions in this race, it's a fusion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 in the superheat points. That's a 3-row lockout for Fusion if the race is confirmed like this. That was that moment through turn number 4 then. 4-6-2, just getting it wrong. Shelvis lucky to get away from that one unscathed, I would say. Actually gets shuffled out towards that outside line as they head towards turn number 5. Yeah. Doesn't get it wrong this time though through turn number 4. I think he's learnt from that mistake previously.
Right, now this is Baku and Hibbert line astern. This is third place, pushing their way forward, trying to close in on Daniel Ferguson, who is in turn another 1.4 seconds further up the road. Ferguson has closed the gap up to Williams to 1.9. However, I can imagine Williams is looking behind him and thinking there is no point pushing the cart at this stage. We can coast and relax to the line. We didn't want to relax too much though, because of course time very quickly running out. There is Williams going over the line now. He will go on to lap number 9 of this race, and he is looking absolutely superb right now. 1.7 seconds is the gap from these two here. Well, it's actually Hibbert and Baku on your screen here. In 3rd and 4th place, but again, they're not really closing in on Ferguson at a good rate of knots where there will be in a fight for 2nd place. Baku is the fastest driver on circuit right now, but again, I think he's just waiting for maybe one more overtake. Could he get up to 3rd place? Will that help him out in the points? It might do. He sits currently outside the top 8. So still he's got some fight to do in that final, but again, the question remains, well, no, everyone will be in that final, so the question remains who will just finish where in that race when they're all put together. Out to the final corner, last lap board goes out to Williams, Ferguson, Hibbert and Baku, the top 4, as we will see who will take P3 in this race. Hibbert tucks to the inside, Baku to the outside. He'll get the switch over now. He won't have the optimal line, though, through this next turn of turn 5, in towards turn 6, the hairpin. Now this is where it starts to get interesting. Once more, they go wheel to wheel on the exit, but Hibbert's got the optimal line, but this time around, it's all lined up and down the inside. That overtake at turn number 8 was lined up all the way from turn 4, and that shows how technical and how demanding this circuit is, an overtake lasting around 4 corners. But this man here has not needed to worry about overtakes, and it's still kicking off into the background. Hibbert's forced the move on Baku there and has pushed his way through, but to the line, Harry Williams secures 22 championship points and secures a front row start for the final alongside Christian Kobe. Ferguson finishes in 2nd, Hibbert in 3rd, Baku in 4th, Schuers in P5, and the rest of the field, Shelvey, Stewart, Rodriguez, Kwong, Albach from Waitins, Massard, and the retirements, Massard, House, Riley, and Pearsons, all not making it to the end. George House, championship leader. Oh, he's having a torrid weekend here, and he is not in the points at the moment, but he is still your championship leader, and crucially, he can take this as dropped scores for him. His championship fight is still very much in control right now. Well, as they head back to Parc Ferme, there's a look at results. It's Williams from Ferguson, Hibbert from Baku, Shivers from Shelvis, Stewart from Rodriguez, Kwong from Alberg. Then it's Waitians, Massard, House, and Riley, with Pearsons rounding out the 15-kart field. 4 retirements in that race. But a bit of a shame for the drivers there, for Nassard, for House, Riley and Pearsons. Not the start of the day would have wanted. But the crucial thing is that they do make it to that final. That is the one thing they can take away from that. Mini X30 done and dusted then for track action until that final later on today. There for Harry Williams, the job is done. Good result for him. He can be delighted. He can head back to the paddock knowing that he will start on that front row alongside Christian Kobe. And that will be an almighty fight to watch, I can imagine. He was quite gifted in that race where he was able to open up that gap at the start. Here's having a look at that start as well. You can see initially, good get away for Hibbert and Williams at the front of the field. Keep an eye on Shivers though, 2nd on that inside line, just managing to carry the speed. It was when we got to this moment here, Hibbert trying to carry the speed around the outside, cuts across, little bit feisty, but just manages to squeeze into 2nd place. It was later into that. This was the first drama for Mattis Pearsons and Alex Riley. Alex Riley did continue, but with heavy damage to the front. Mattis Pearsons, unfortunately, looking to be in a little bit of discomfort. George House in the early stages of that race, looking really strong, getting up into 3rd place in the early stages, then up into 2nd almost immediately. It was from P2, though, where it would all go P-tong for him. Mason Hibbert down the inside, who did end up finishing the race in 3rd place. down the inside. Fortunately, a bit of contact out of the race was George House, retiring with damage to the XL Motorsport Mini X30 machine. A big shame for him. This one here, though, Hibbert would fight back, get down the inside of Milan Baku, who would later retaliate into this one. Miko Schuvers as well, going absolutely wheel to wheel there, losing out on a handful of places. Schuvers actually in the end of that one dropping down to P5 into that next group of drivers. Abraham Shelvis on the Pantano machine as well, having a very dicey moment there with Oliver Waitians. Waitians and the likes of Shelvis going absolutely wheel to wheel. There you can see it again. Big checks over the shoulder, and for Shelvis, he lost out on quite a bit of momentum there from the drivers behind. Would fight back though, would push himself forward. The same as this one on the final lap. The fight between Ferguson and Hibbert, or Hibbert and Baku, I should say. Baku getting the move done, a four-corner overtake. It was then later at turn 12, the robust move down the inside. Hibbert with his nose there, gets back through past Milan Baku, but at the front, Harry Williams and Daniel Ferguson, 1-2 on circuit. Williams starting alongside Kobe on the front row of the grid. Hibbert will have George Clark for company on row 2. Let's head down to Parc Ferme and to Nicole Sutherland.
Well, you just called it then, Anthony. Harry Williams, Superheat B winner. Harry, straight away at the start, you gave yourself a gap. Pretty easy race out there?
Yeah, it wasn't that easy, but it's quite hot, so we're all probably struggling with the heat. So yeah, I got quite a good start and managed to get a big gap.
And going into the finals then, Harry, you'll be starting alongside your teammate of Christian. How are you going to handle that? Because you've both been equally as quick. You can both make big overtakes. How do you deal with it?
Yeah, hopefully we can just push away and we'll battle that out at the end.
And then the heat that you just mentioned out there for you, Harry, how are you managing that? How are you making sure that you stay concentrated from now into the finals later on?
Yeah, I'm just trying to drink loads of water, stay calm and not over push to make myself even hotter.
Well, we'll see how it plays out in the finals. Harry, good luck for later on and well done on the Superheat win. We'll head back up then, but this time we turn our attention to our group of juniors. Anthony Jordan, over to you.
Thank you very much, Nicole, down there in Parc Ferme. Indeed, we do turn our attention to the junior category. Junior X30 Superheat 1 will be the next one to make its way out onto the track. And this will have current championship leader Riley Cranham starting it on pole position, continuing his trend, adding another 25 points to his lead. He goes into today with 202 championship points, ahead of Dan Alleman's 143. For Dan Alleman, not scoring any points in this one, which at the grand scheme will be okay because he'll be able to drop that one after the, of course, unfortunately, the torrid run he had in qualifying, where he did not clock up at all, which means he had to start at the back. For Dan Alleman, he starts these races not in this one. He will be in the next race. He'll be starting it on the 8th row of the grid in P16. For this man here, though, Riley Cranham, pole position in qualifying, 2 qualifying heat wins out of 3, and a second place to end the day. A superb run, secures 25 championship points, puts himself on pole position for this one, and he's looking to secure a pole position start for that final later on today as well. He won't be alone, though, on the front row of that grid. He'll have fellow teammates and countrymen from the United Kingdom, Jesse Phillips, alongside, 4th in qualifying, 2 qualifying heat wins, and a 3rd as well. A very strong performance from them. But like I say, Riley Cranham's just been ahead of the game on this one. But we'll have to see what he can do in these finals. The row behind as well also has been very, very competitive, but not so much in qualifying. Finley Lines and Jarlath Sayer on the second row of the grid. Jarlath Sayer showcasing for the first time. Finley Lines, familiar face. 10th in qualifying. Jarlath Sayer 14th in TQ. So they've had to put some work in here to start on the second row of the grid. but they have done that, and now they're in a really strong position ready for this Superheat. Denny Babacek as well. Elias Ebersdobler also had a tough qualifying, 15th place, and starts this on the 3rd row of the grid. Right, engines fire up. Drivers make their way out onto the circuit. A lot of tyres in this one, Nicole, but they all come from the 7th row backwards. Riley Cranham and Jesse Phillips go from row 1. They'll have Finley Lines and Jarlath Sayer on row 2. Denny Babacek and Elias Ebersdobler will round out the top 6 on row 3. Benjamin Westwood is the first driver to have a full fresh set of tyres on board. The driver from Malta will start alongside Nilas Malik.
Row number 7 includes Benjamin Westwood and Nilas Malik, like we said. And then from 8, we have Trude Jurken with Max Yule. 9 includes Jörg Rana with Len Gockman. And from 10, we have Jacob Batchelor, who's had a torrid weekend after a 7th position in time qualifying, alongside Ben Guetz. 11 is Esteban Rock with Aaron Meta. And from 12, we have Max Lacroix with Alex Martinez. 13th row of things for your first X30 Junior Superheat is out to Zoltan Koini of Switzerland.
I suspect we may see a complete top and turf of this grid. Everyone from the 7th row, regarding Nilas Malik, have got fresh tyres on board, i.e. a full set or a set on the left-hand side of the kart. So let's see if there's going to be a big change of positions. I'm a big fan of that shot, actually. That perfect straight road down to the town of Wackersdorf. I drove down that the other day. But beautiful little town is Wackersdorf. It looks brand new. It's I was quite surreal when I drove through it, and I say, when was this town formed? Oh, years and years and years ago. It looks like it was built 2 days ago. It looks absolutely crystal clean. Right, here we go then in towards the red line. No overtaking from beyond this point. For Riley Cranham and Jesse Phillips, the job is to win this race. Synchronization, not too bad there. 7.5, I'll give it, as the race goes on. Into the tram lines. Are we racing? Are the lights out? Junior X30 is go, and it's a good start for the front row here, but it will be Cranham who holds on to the front lines to the inside, sweeps into 2nd place, squealing under braking as Babacek sends it down into 3rd place. It's a clean start, it's a hectic start, but everyone gets through. So it's Cranham from lines, Babacek now in 3rd place from the rest of the field, tripping over each other a little bit in the background there, still going 3 wide as they head into the chicane for the first time. It's still a strong start for the field. Where did Jarlath Sayer end up in all of that? Well, that's a big misjudge of braking for Denny Babacek. He's got a mighty dent in that front nose, but he missed out on that braking zone there massively into turn 11. Phillips
missed out at that start, then wasn't quite looking alive and has dropped quite far down the order. He's now tailing around just in front of Denny Babacek in 5th place. Sayer, we asked where he was. There he is, going down the inside at turn number 4 on Galimberti to get himself into 3rd. Cranham leads from Lines. Lines is one of the only drivers this weekend who has actually challenged Riley Cranham for the race lead, as we've got more challenges going on. That's Archie Owen getting involved at turn number 6. Owen looking strong within this race. He's had some good results so far, a 12th place and 2 7ths, but for the first time he finds himself a lot farther up the order. Babacek still trying to defend off drivers behind, getting himself maybe a bit too involved with the likes of Ludwig Granquist sat there in 9th place. Owen once more heads over that crest, looking to the gap behind him, but looks like he could be on the charge now to the driver in front once more of Galimberti, followed behind by Byrne. Then we have Babacek, who, like you said, Anthony, looks like he's got a bit of a dent in that front nose cone, having to fend off quite heavily from Granquist. Now, is Granquist going to have a look down the inside at turn number 11? Finley Lines, who has just headed out of that corner, is not having a look at Cranham, as we've got incidents out there on the track. That's Gockman and Guetz now, who find themselves side by side. I think they're actually attached on the front end there. Just wondering if those two drivers will be able to get going.
Rule number 1 of motorsport, don't hit your teammates. And unfortunately, the Ebert Motorsport drivers there of Ben Goetz and Len Gurkman, unfortunately, have broken that cardinal rule. And unfortunately are now both out of this race, down in 24th and 25th. The good news is that I still think they might be okay. Well, a lot of these drivers, a couple of them, will have to say goodbye to, because of course only 36 get to race in that final. Eyes on the front here though, Cranham and Lines, absolutely line astern. And now is Finley Lines going to go for the immediate attack here, or is he going to wait for the later on in the race? It's a risky overtake for Lines because he doesn't need to do anything, as I think Eversdoppel and Granqvist may have had drama there. I think some dust got kicked up. Yeah, for Lines, if he gets this move done, he gains points on this one, but of course Phillips is still ahead of him. He won't move up the order at all. So it's a risky overtake for him. It's high risk, low reward for him. However, he has got Phillips closing in behind him. He does not want Phillips to get past him, because Phillips then, his lead extends even more. Yeah, he needs to make sure that Phillips effectively in this one goes backwards. But right now for Lines, I think he's in between a rock and a hard place right now. It doesn't make sense to overtake, but he might have to if Phillips closes in.
Phillips looking like he's got the run now. He's found the legs on the two in front, because he sets a purple lap in that previous one, and now really has turned this into a 3-car battle for that race lead. Sayer is not involved just yet. He's got 2 or 3 car lengths to try and find to catch up to Phillips there in third. Nice now under investigation for potentially causing a collision, but that's further back down in the tail end of your field. Through the last corner, Cranham goes, still leading Finley Lines, who now looks like he's going to be under pressure by Jesse Phillips. Is Phillips going to try and set something up? No, he's not, because Finley Lines is the one to set it up on Cranham. Jesse Phillips now looks to the inside on Cranham. Cranham drops back to third position, tries to slot back in, takes a position back away, finds himself in second once more, as Lines now jumps on that defensive line through turn number 6. And this is the stage there where we said it. Sayer finds those extra couple of pieces, puts it back together, and now turns it into a 4-kart battle.
A little bit of an oversteer there for Lines into the entry of the chicane, but holds on to it because it's mutiny for the Fusion Motorsport team. Cranham and Phillips going wheel to wheel here, and they've released Lines at the front, and now Jarlis Sayer finds his way to the inside but stays in P4, and once again defensive Lines there at the front. Cranham to the inside once again, and understandably says, you know, what are we doing here? We're losing out on the lead. Sayer down the inside, and now Archie Owen's got involved. Archie Owen on the BMR, Gallimberti, Jacob Batchelor, Amelia Byrne, Benjamin Westwood, the whole gang's back to play for the race lead. And we're on lap number 7 of this race. Down the inside, Archie Owen steps up now. The BMR restart driver pushing through nicely and is there into third place. But now has the long train of drivers all behind him, all vying for a potential P3 here. Lines is clear at the front. He's looking for his first win of the weekend. His best result came as a second place in his first qualifying heat. But now he's looking for a P1 in this superheat as he holds on to second now in the points. He moves ahead of Jesse Phillips. This is exactly what Lines wanted, as Phillips has gone down to 6th place.
Well, Phillips looked like he just attempted a bit of a half move on Batchelor through turn number 13. Batchelor now trying to have a look at the driver ahead, which is the XL of Jarlath Sayer, who has tailed off from the likes of Archie Owen, who finally this weekend has broken into the top 3. Phillips down the inside, now under pressure, though still by Batchelor and Gallimberti, but picks off the position and makes it stick. There we've got a retirement on the side of the track. So that's Coyne, the 104, who will not continue. Eyes back on this battle, though. This is from 4th place onwards, because Archie Owen has been given a bit of breathing room. So your 1, 2 and 3 of Lines, Cranham and Owen have not got too much to think about. But Jarlath Sayer is the one with the most pressure going on into turn number 13, as he's trying to fend off his countryman of Jesse Phillips.
Certainly is indeed. Over the start-finish line they go. Nice view from the balcony there. Everyone watching alongside on the racing this morning. I can imagine that'll be even more full in the finals, as down the inside, Jarlis Sayer doing a brilliant job there to fend off Jesse Phillips. If anything, he's helping Finley Lines out massively here with keeping him at bay in those intermediate classifications, because again, if Phillips can get past Every overtake now for Phillips will benefit him, and he might step back up into the lead of the second in the points behind Riley Cranham. But we'll keep an eye on this one as they head into the hairpin at turn 11. Still no changes between Lines and Cranham. They're absolutely fine. Phillips to the inside is going to squeeze the move. Look at this one though. For the XL driver, the Jamie Green driver, Jacob Batchelor, I think is that up to third place, and the Jamie Green Racing driver into the line. No, it's not. It will be Emilio Byrne who's managed to got the exit of that one. So Emilio Byrne, who has deployed fresh tyres in this race, is pushing his way through nicely. No, he hasn't deployed fresh tyres, sorry. Indeed, he started this one on the 5th row of the grid in P5, and now he finds himself fighting right to that sharp end.
Saya looked like he got muscled out then by the 3 drivers ahead, dropped 3 positions on that previous lap. Babacek now back in the fight, but like we mentioned previously, not sure if he's got a big dent in that front nose cone. Battle still rages on through turn number 11, but this is the dying stages. If Phillips wants to pick off a position, he's got to jump the gun now, but doesn't manage to do it because Batchelor finds his way through. Busy through that final corner. Who is going to get the move done? We won't find out just yet. But it looks like what we are going to find out is that Finley Lines is absolutely clear from the rest of the field. 9/10 he has gifted himself from Riley Cranham, who has finally been stopped this weekend by a driver that doesn't come from his awning.
No, indeed. For Finley Lines, the job has been sublime for him in this Superheat. He'll be looking at that first win of the weekend for him then, as he will make his way to the checkered flag. First, second and third are all clean and dry. Look at the gap they've opened up from 4th place. Emilio Byrne and Jacob Batchelor, Phillips, Sayer and Galiberti are all much further down in the order, but to the line. 1, 2, 3 for the United Kingdom. Finley Lines, Riley Cranham and Archie Owen across the line. Take the victories in this one. The fight for 4th crosses the line now, and it's Emilio Byrne who takes it out of Jesse Phillips. Batchelor from Sayer at the end of that one, finishing in P7. For Riley Cranham in second. He holds on to the lead with 224 points to his name. That's only his second place of the weekend, and I think he is all good in those points. Didier Kreeft might be able to take away that pole position as he sits in 7th in the points with 144 points. The ball is now into Didier Kreeft's side of the court, because he as well had the same points. He had a second place and 2 wins yesterday. He'll be the one to watch in that next race. There is your points though as it stands. Cranham leads with 224 at Finley Lines. Jesse Phillips from Archie Owen, Jarlath Sayer from Emilio Byrne, Didier Kreeft from Denny Babacek, who rounds out the top 8 in the points. So the results of the race, well, they're on your screen now. Lines from Cranham, Owen from Byrne, Phillips from Batchelor, Sayer from Galimberti, Babacek and Yule, who round out the top 10. Martinez from Rodriguez, then it is Westwood from Yerkin, Rana from Ebersdobler, Granquist from Nice, Lacroix from Russia, then it is Meta, Malik, Gertz, who round out the 23 finishers. Zoltan Koini and Len Gurkman, unfortunately, not making it to the end of the race. But they don't need to despair too much. There is still a good chance they might make it into that final later on. But again, it all gets whittled down to just the 36. There on your screen then, Finley Lines, job done. First win of the weekend. A superb drive for the young Briton, and let's see how that all transpired. The race start relatively clean for the front row here. Cranham and Phillips absolutely fine. You saw the moment that Lines did manage to get through into second place, just down the inside, utilising the start from Cranham. Keep an eye on Denny Babacek though in this early stage. He goes into the corner. He's already got a hefty dent in that nose cone at that point. It may have happened on the formation lap. It's watched him down into the hairpin though, because he completely just slides under braking there and loses out to the drivers behind. Jarlath Sayer, Galimberti, all managing to push their way through in that early stage of the race. Galimberti would later drop down, though, in the order, the same as Babacek. Babacek finishing in 9th place. Galimberti dropping down to 8th in that race. That did release the drivers at the front. Drama for the Ebert Motorsport team, the two Germans, Ben Goertz and Len Gürkman, unfortunately colliding into each other. Goertz managing to keep going, Gürkman the only retirement for the Ebert Motorsport team. Drama at the front, and there you saw Lines go for the overtake for the race lead. From that point onwards, he would just drive away from the rest of the field. He would leave Cranham and Phillips to battle it out. A quite unusual battle between these drivers here. You would think the teammates would work together. You can see the frustration there from Riley Cranham at that point, while right down the inside, Charles Sayer getting his nose right down the inside, pushing himself up into 3rd place. Then Archie Owen would get involved. Archie Owen having a really good race in that one, finishing in P3 after gaining 6 places. The same can be said for Emilio Byrne. A good run for him. He ended up gaining 6 places as well to finish in P4 for the Ebert Sports team. So again, pushing his way forward. 3 wide here over the course of the lap, and that was the moment where Emilio Byrne got into 4th place. This is where that fight all raged on. Denny Babacek going absolutely wheel to wheel there with Andrea Galimberti. But across the line, and he knows it, it's a job well done for Finley Lines. Steps up to 2nd in the points. At the moment, he will be starting on the front row with Riley Cranham, but there is one more race to go in juniors. Let's head down to Parc Ferme to Nicole Sutherland.
Down with Finley Lines then. Finn, you're the first driver this weekend in the juniors to put off Riley Cranham, a driver that doesn't come from the Fusion tent. The overtake, how did you pull it off?
Well, I was pushing Riley at the first stages of the race, and I saw the other group was catching, and as soon as Jesse got to my back bumper, I knew I had to go in, and the next corner I looked behind, I had a big gap, and I just maintained it and won the race.
And the story of this weekend in both the minis and the juniors is that the Fusion team have been dominant. You obviously don't come from that camp. Does it put you at all being surrounded by so many drivers, the likes of Phillips, Cranham, Kreeft as well, that all, are sporting the same suit?
I mean, drivers are drivers, teams are teams. It doesn't really make a difference because they're all different people.
Absolutely, and you're different drivers, like you just said. What's going to set you apart as we head into the final, Finn?
I think it's going to be a very tough final. I think I've just got to go out there and do my best and hopefully do the best result I can.
Well, Finn, good to speak to you. We'll swap you over with Riley Cranham, who we've just seen finish in P2. Riley, come over. We haven't confirmed our pole sitter for the final just yet. It will depend, I think, on what DJ Kreeft can do in this one, but it looks likely for you. Mindset?
I'm really happy at the moment. Obviously, I don't mind starting P1 or P2 for the final, so we'll just see how it goes.
And within the Superheat just then, when Finley overtook you, how do you ensure around this track especially that you don't make mistakes when you get overtaken quite ambitiously?
Obviously, you have to keep calm and just keep driving the way you normally would. So that's what I did. Obviously, I came away with 2nd.
Well, Riley, good to speak to you, and I'm sure we'll probably catch up on the grid walk later on. We'll head back up then into the commentary box because we're about to see who will confirm that pole position for our Junior X30s for later on.
We certainly will. Thank you very much, Nicole Sutherland down there. Yes, indeed. For Diddy Kreeft, the ball is very much back in his side of the court. He needs to win this race. Junior X30, Superheat 2. Heading out on track next. Like we were saying, Kreeft needs to take the win in this one. If he does, he will secure pole position for the final, and for him, and it will score, of course, 25 championship points. And for Kreeft, that will help him out. Currently sits 8th in the points, so that is a good one to see. Other drivers in this one, of course, Dick the Rainmaker, starting him alongside, 9th in qualifying. 2/3 and a 2nd for the man who starts alongside him. They both have had really good runs this weekend. 2 drivers who I do want to point out, though, Daniel Oliver and Matteo Mellis, who start this one on the 3rd row of the grid. 38th and 40th in time qualifying, and start this Superheat on the 3rd row of the grid against drivers who have finished with inside the top 5 finishing second place and wins in this as well. So those two drivers, really strong performance for them over the course of those qualifying heats yesterday. Looking forward if they can maintain that momentum today in this one. A smattering of new tyres once again have gone out for these drivers, all the way from around the 6th row backwards. A couple of drivers, though, have not deployed them. And everyone on the front 5 rows are all on used tyres from yesterday. As the engines fire up, drivers make their way out onto the track. Let's take you through that full starting lineup. Didier Kreeft needs to win this one to secure pole position for that final. Stig the Rademacher will join him alongside. Will Green and Elvis Karakauskas will go from row 2. They'll have Daniel Oliver and Matteo Mellis on row 3. Freddie Wood and Louis Bazare go from row 4. They'll have David Stefan Manchuna and Bruno Grieling on row 5. Jack Peters is the first driver on the grid to go for a full brand new set. They'll have Max Endicott alongside, who thankfully is on the grid after he felt a little under the weather this morning. He didn't take part in morning warm-up, but he is on track now and hopefully has a good race. Danny Bors has a full set of tyres. Rock Pineda with a fresh set on the left-hand side. Nicola Frigg and Dan Alleman go from row number 8. They've also got a brand new set of tyres on board.
Row number 9 includes Alexandra Point with Rowers Pascu. And row 10 we have Jonathan Mayer joined by Nick Reed. 11 looks like Matteo Peruccio with Joelino Denzel. And rounding out your grid for the final X30 Junior Superheats, we have Veer Chopra and Matisse Mouche.
You can see balcony filling up massively there. Everyone wanting to watch a spot in this race, of course. There's a chance we could see a change of pole sitter in the X30 Junior category for that final. Cranham at the moment leads those points, of course, from his second place finish with 224 points to his name. That's his second place of the weekend. For Didier Kreeft, he had the same points going into today. However, he was out-qualified by Cranham, of course. But now that Cranham's got another second place on board, if Kreeft can win this one, he out-qualifies him and it puts him on pole position. Synchronization, check. Are we going to get a good one on this one? We got a 10-pointer yesterday to end the day. Oh, it's not bad at all. 6.5 for that one. As the day progresses on, the sun shining, 26 degrees as they head into the tram lines. Are the lights going out? Junior X30 is go, and it's a good start for Kreeft on the inside line, but he needs to watch out for the chasing pack. Will Green there, trying to look down the inside, not going to get it done. The TB car racing machine there, you can see Matteo Mellis has had a brilliant start there and has got himself up into 4th place. But you can still see that the whole field is looking mighty strong right at the start of this one as they all exit now into the chicane for the first time through 9 and 10. It's a long train of drivers, but it's Kreeft who leads the way into the braking zone of turn 11.
Will Green like a bullet out the gate, then heading down through turn number 11 in that second place, trying to apply the pressure. Can he do it through turn number 12? Oh. Yes, he does. Is he going to lose out, though, to the victory lane, who looks like he's about to take the race lead? Yes, he does then. So Will Green makes the move and then loses out. That is Louis Bazare, who's jumped right up the order in the early stage. 7-place gain within 1 lap. Green has to drop down to P3. Now we've got moves going into turn number 4. Snatches back. Second position. Kreeft getting a bit swamped there and has to settle for P2. Mellis looking strong there, sat just behind Grayling in 4th. Grayling, can he muscle out Will Green going towards the hairpin of 11, where we see a lot of drivers like to take those ambitious overtakes? Bazare looking comfortable there with the race lead, heads out turn number 11, nice on the brakes, and gives himself a bit of room to Green. Moves down the inside, that's Mellis overtaking Grayling then, and Didier Kreeft trying to follow him through. Yeah, that's Kreeft back up into 3rd place now, but they need to simmer down, they need to settle in. Bazare and Green have broken away at the front here. Now these two, I don't fully think have properly raced against each other this weekend. They've been starting in different pots. One driver has gone wrong as, Didier Kreeft, that's gone bad, so worse. So the man who needed to finish this race on P1 has been swamped by the pack. And now Kreeft
tumbles all the way down to 15th place after that one through turn 3. His chance of starting on pole position has diminished massively, and Cranham Lines right now are going to be securing the front row. Bazare at the front is all fine and clear. This is the moment again. Kreeft, he tries to cover off from his teammate. He goes down the inside stick. That Ademaker squeezes him wide. He throws his hands up in protest, and in doing that, he loses out on every single position you can imagine.
And after not feeling well earlier on, and then Anthony, Max Endicott finds himself in 4th position. You can see him on the screen just there. He capitalised off of the issue between the two fusions. And now, for the first time this weekend, who is in your top 4? Dan Alleman, the number 10, who didn't set a qualifying time, finds himself 12 places up from where he started on the grid. Alleman breaks into the top 4 and is pulling round now Max Endicott, who we actually didn't expect to see on the grid. Out to turn number 12 they go, over the crest. Bazare leads from green. It's 0.3 of a second that gap is. Further down the order then, drivers that have not had a good one, of course. Kreeft has dropped 15 positions after that issue through turn number 4. He's now 16th place currently, and Elvis Karauskas finds himself down in 22nd place, an 18 place loss.
Yeah, indeed. That is a huge shame for him. The same, like you say, for Karauskas as well, who's starting on the second row of the grid, 20 places out of the race, and that is a huge shame for him. Alleman, the fastest driver on circuit, understandably, has got a brand new set of tyres on the left-hand side of his machine. He is pushing forward as Green holds on now to the lead. He has pushed forward. That's allowed the likes of Bruno Greenling to close in. Greenling looking for his best result of the weekend, I think, here. He's not got new tyres on board. He started this race P10, and he is looking forward to seeing what he can do. There was the overtake down the inside at turn number 6. Carbon copy, beautiful move, nothing wrong with that. That's going to keep drivers in bay as well. Louis Bazare, I thought, was going to go for a cheeky move down the inside there at turn number 4, but has thought against it. Could he be lining something up, though, here for turn 6? No. Thinks against it there as well, but he has allowed Greenling to close in. As you can see, the front two here are not synchronized at all. They're taking slightly different racing lines, and in turn, he's losing out on time to the drivers behind. Greenling, Alleman, Endicott as well in that next group. They're all closing in. Back down the inside, turn 11. Louis Bazare takes the lead once more of this race, and now this is going to be a fight to the end, I can imagine. Stigdanovica has picked up a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. I can imagine that is for the moment there with his teammate Didier Kreeft, who has now tumbled down to 14th place in this race. Eyes on this one, though. It's a 3-car battle at the front. Bazare, Green and Greenling. 1, 2, 3 with Alleman and Endicott closing in behind. Greenling to the inside, steps up to P2. It's now 5 cars. Endicott is there with Alleman. Daniel Oliver as well, just in the background. The fight is on as it's all kicking off through the chicane, because now that is Alleman pushing his way forward beautifully here. 3-1 in the background, changes again at the front. Greenling fighting for a race win here, but right now he cannot find his way through. Gets the switch over through 12, goes alongside, has the move down the inside in towards turn 13 and 14 as they exit out. It's wheel to wheel once again for the race lead, with still 3 laps to go of this race.
Dan Alleman looking to have a go, and he does it down through turn number 4, makes it stick. Alleman now in P2. Can he jump the gun on Greenling? Can he make that move? Defends into turn number 6 to push away from the likes of Bazare, hold him off. Will Green gets back past through Daniel Oliver and Max Endicott. Endicott is your last driver in this 6-car battle. And Daniel Oliver qualified 38th overall, but within this one he finds himself just outside of that top 5. So some good racing throughout the heats and throughout this superheat so far. Over the crest they will go. Alleman still looking strong through that 3rd sector. Can he maybe find a little bit more time to Bruno Greenling? over the line they go. It's a 10th of a second that splits up those two as Animalin signals then to Bazare to say push, and down the inside, Growth Dummy gets it done on Bruno Grayling, and Dan Alleman, who was last in time qualifying overall, now finds himself the leader of this final X30 Junior Superheat. Out of turn number 8 they go, will head down the hill through 9 and 10. He's gifted himself some rune. Grayling looks like he's been put off. We've had a big moment out there for the 182.
That's Mattis Moosh, unfortunately, who was being unceremoniously assisted out of the cart there. Looks to be in a hefty amount of pain, but let's hopefully he's okay. But Marshals will be on the scene working on that one. Still green flag and racing here as we're going near to the end of this race now. Penultimate lap of the race, and it is still Animan who leads the way from Grayling. Bazare there still holding in 3rd place. But this fight's still not over yet. Grayling, who's not taken a race win so far this weekend, could be ending his Superheats phase with a P1, as unfortunately Chopra has come away with a 5-second time penalty. Chopra currently running in 16th place. Eyes on this one though. The top 5 very close in this order, but we'll keep a close eye on them as they progress through. But Max Endicott at the moment sitting at the back of this one. I've got to say, it's fair play to Max Endicott. He woke up at 5 o'clock this morning, completely under the weather, big stomach pains, but he's fighting fit in this one, and he is pushing as hard as he can there in P6 with still a gain of 6 places. Eyes on the front though, Grayling on the attack on the final lap of this race, but he's gonna lose out on 2nd place. Bazare and Green find their way through, and now Green looks for 2nd place but can't make it work. But now as they fight through in this 2nd stage of the lap, it's all a case of what can Dan Alleman do. Like Nicole said, started this weekend at the back of the field, drama in qualifying where no time was able to be set from the driver from Switzerland, who currently at this moment still sits 2nd in the championship. Right now he's going to score championship points, but they'll be low as, oh my goodness me, Daniel Oliver cutting across the nose there of Green, but over the line, celebrates in style. Dan Alleman there has done what he's needed to do. He doesn't sit with inside the top 8 of this classification, but he knows that he can win around this track, and that could be a taster of things to come in that final. Cranham and Lines, though, will be your front row of that final. Jesse Phillips and Didier Kreeft will go from row number 2. There was no pole position for Didier Kreeft. He needed to win, but unfortunately, that results tumbling down the order after contact with his teammate, the Rademacher. He will start this from the outside of row number 2. That is a tough one for him, but still in a good spot for that final. There is a look at your full results. Alleman from Bazare, then it is Grayling from Endicott, Oliver from Green, the Rademacher from Kreeft, Melis from Pineda, Stefan from Peters, Peruzio from Pascu, Bors from Wood, Chopra from Adair, Reed, Point, Frigg, Denzel, the 22 finishes in that race. Mattis Moosh, unfortunately, the RSD karting driver, hopefully he is okay. We saw the drama for him at the beginning of that one, and Elvis Krasauskas as well. Torrid race for the driver who started on the 2nd row of the grid, the Lithuanian, who was 2nd fastest in time qualifying in the juniors, finishing his superheat at the back of the grid. Well, we will see the juniors out later on today, of course, for their final. 2 more superheats to go. The seniors will be coming up next, but between now and then, we'll see the highlights from that junior race. And also, we'll be down in Parc Ferme with Nicole Sutherland, who'll be, I'm sure, chatting with some of our drivers down there. For Dan Alleman, though, that's a superb drive for him. A 15-place gain with a fresh set of tyres only on the left-hand side, not a full set for the Swiss driver for the Spirit Racing team. but still a very, very strong and competitive drive here at Wackersdorf. There he is, making his way in. Job done, celebrates with Greeling. Hug from the mechanic. That's a brilliant run there for Dan Aleman, and he can be delighted with that one. Here's a look then at the highlights from that race, and well, for the front runners, it was a good start initially for Kreeft and Stig de Rademaker. Those two, though, would later tangle at turn at number 4. You can see how de Rademaker dropped down into around P4, P5. There you saw Kreeft still in the lead of the race in the opening stage of it, albeit later would get overtaken down the inside. Will Green would get up into the race lead. Louis Bazare out of nowhere in this race, pushing his way forward. Started on the 4th row of the grid. His best result was a P4 over the course of the weekend. He now comes away with a 2nd place after leading for the majority of it. This was the moment between the two teammates, and for Didier Kreeft, his chance of starting on pole position for the final diminished. His chance of gaining 25 championship points sweeps away in one corner. Not only from that, but from a teammate as well. He'll be absolutely devastated with that. Changes at the front, though. Green once again fighting with Louis Bazare. Those fights would continue over the course of the race, would allow Bruno Greeling to close in and continue the fight on. But let's head down to Parc Ferme. We'll leave you with these live images or the highlights. But Nicole Sutherland, it's over to you.
Right then, down with Dan Aleman, who we've just seen has had a 15-place gain to win the Superheats. Dan, overtakes, you were not hanging around. How did you pull those off?
I tried everything to make the start very good, because I know the start was the biggest thing, and then I just make it 1-to-1, and then it works very good.
So you just said that the start was the bit that was going to decide how you were getting on throughout that race. When you went over the start finish on that first lap, how did you manage to get as high up as you did?
It was a lot of battle also in front, so it helped me a lot, and yeah.
And Dan, we haven't been able to talk to you this weekend after that poor qualifying result. The transponder was not fitted to the kart and you were last overall, but now you find yourself back winning races. When that happened earlier on in the weekend, did it put you off at all?
A little bit, because I was knowing I needed to start all the time last, but now I see it's possible, so I'm ready for the final.
Well, I think after that result, I would be ready as well. Dan, well done to you and the Spirit team. We'll head back over to Anthony Jordan in the commentary box before I join him once more, but this time for our seniors.
Thank you very much, Nicole Sutherland down there in Parc Ferme. Yes, indeed, seniors will be coming up next. 2 Superheats for the drivers here, and these will be max capacity grids, 2 races of 36 drivers. We did have to say goodbye to a couple of them, albeit it was only about 1 or 2 drivers, unfortunately, who didn't make it into the cutoff for this one. I'm going to talk tyres for a bit, because I'm still filling in my grid here, because there is a lot of drivers who have deployed them. And most vitally, the leading one of those is Danny Caronini on the front row of the grid. He has deployed the second half of his second set, and he will start this one on the front row of the grid alongside Ruben Moya. And that's going to be an interesting one to watch over the course of this one. A couple of missing drivers as well from this. Sam Woolley is missing, Lucas Horchika, and of course Matis Michalz. We've not seen him out for a multitude of races over the course of this one. But we'll go through those tyres fully later on. There on your screen, though, Ruben Moya, leader of the points going into today. 4 wins out of 5, a 2nd place after qualifying 5th, is still the driver to beat this weekend. Danny Caronini, who was late to the weekend, unfortunately. 2nd in qualifying still for the Italian, and has put it on the front row of the grid for this one after taking 3 qualifying heat wins yesterday. He secures that front row, has got the new tyres on board for this race. he's not only hoping for a good result in this one, he's hoping for a win, and he is hoping to see if he can get himself up onto that sharp end of the field for the final. But that is going to be tough. He has had that 2nd and the 6th place over the course of his racing. And of course, for Joanna Luja in the next race, 2 second places and 3 wins is going to be an interesting one to try and beat. So it's going to be a tough one for him. But still, we will wait to see on that one. Nicole Sutherland joins me back into the commentary box as I finish writing down all my notes on the piece of paper. Nicole, this is going to be an interesting one here. Ruben Moya not on fresh tyres. Danny Carinini, brand new set of boots on the left-hand side of his wagon. He wants one thing only, and that's to take a race win. We'll go over the grid then for these drivers. Let's see how they will line up. It is Ruben Moya and Danny Carinini, Spain and Italy, on the front row of the grid. Sebastiano Pavan does join his teammates on this one, but this time on the inside row. Freddie Lloyd will start alongside. Bertram Sash and Kevin Lantinger will go from row 3. They'll have Jacob Mikolev and Morgan Moore on row 4. Harrison Mackie and Rocco Caruccio go from row 5. They'll have Nicholas Hirsch and Matthias van der Kerkhoff on row number 6. Maxim Blanchimont and Lola Gonzalez go from row 7. They'll have Otto Buchanan and Luca Horton on row 8, with the first half of the field and the drivers in the danger zone of not making it into the final of Philip Senton, Zach Green. From these drivers onwards, it's going to be tough.
These drivers then, like you said, Anthony, need to pull out their best tricks. Paul Androtis and Roberto Bas on row number 10. 11, with new tyres on one side, it's Mark Granado with Sinja Onbul. And from 12, we have Elias Leman with Sam Woolley. 13 goes Ike Sayer and Maximilian Egglestarter, who has got new boots on. 14 is Peter Gorecki with Raquel Zarif. 15 houses Kimes Markelbag with Lucas Schiska. And from 16, we have Emmanuel Leodikis with Luca Moulard. 17, Morgan Knudsen, new tyre on one side of the kart for the Polish driver with Sarah Iffert. And then rounding out your grid of 36 karts in what you can expect to be a dramatic X30 Senior Superheats, we have Luca Mann and Mattis Michard.
Indeed. Well, there you can see, I think sorting themselves out. I'm saying 32 degrees there. That might be a little bit warmer there than it is on our sensors out on track, only reporting 27 degrees, but still very, very hot. Tatiana and Tizia at the front. Are we ready? We said it. Well, it's going to take a while, actually. It's the biggest grid we've seen so far this weekend. A full capacity 36 of them, which is being rounded out by Luca Mann at the back of that one. Nice synchronization. 8.5 for the two there. Here we go. Pace is super slow. Ruben Moya, we saw him do this in the first qualifying heat all the way to the yellow line. Revs raised. Danny Carinini will have a chance of fighting through on this one, but it is the Pantano drivers 1-2, and Carinini's gone down to 4th place. He looks to the inside. Freddie Lloyd's trying to push through. Carinini needs to be careful in this one. He does not want to waste these brand new tyres on board. He might need to find out if he can push through in the early stages. He's the only driver within the top 4 rows with a brand new set of tyres on one side of him. The next driver is Rocco Caruccio, the German driver, who started in P10 on row 5, but pushing through. It's a clean breakaway, though, for the sharp end and for the Pantano Racing Team drivers. It is still all game on, but Ruben Moya leads the way, but it's not Sebastiano Pavan in 2nd place. One driver tumbling down the order there. I think that was Luca Horton on the XL Motorsport machine, who has not had a good start to his race. Over the start-finish line they go. It's Moya who leads the way. You can see there, though, the mad croc of Kevin Lantinger in 2nd place.
Lantinger was aggressively brave through turn number 4 to get the move done, and now we've got Pavan trying to do the same, trying to get back up the order. Moore sits there in 3rd, being pushed round though by Danny Carinini, who we saw didn't have the start he would have wanted. Pukanen gets put under investigation. That's further down the order for 13th place. Zach Green trying to hustle his countryman of Harrison Mackie, who has not had the weekend so far that he would have wanted. Came into this so high up in that championship, but has not had the legs to run away with anything so far. He's not really even in that mid-pack of things currently. Out of the final corner, and look at what Ruben Moya has gifted himself. It's a 1.3 make it 1.4 second lead. Down the inside, Danny Caronini goes on Kevin Lantinga, snatches back P2. Morgan Moore sat there in 4th now, and will look to try and chase up to the likes of Kevin Lantinga. Behind Moore, we have Sebastiano Pavan. Previously, we saw him and Moya right together at that very start, but Pavan just looked like he got muscled out, especially compared to the likes of Kevin Lantinga. Further down in the order, big stories of the race, we've got a 9th-place gain for Isaac Sayer to get into 16th. We've lost Luca Horton down at the back end of the field. It's a 17th position loss to be last on the road. Out turn number 12 they go, still no changes between your top 5. It's still Moya from Caronini, Lantinga, Moore and Sebastiano Pavan.
Certainly is, and for the time being, we will keep an eye on that gap. It's already come down to 1.3 again between Caronini and Moya. This will be the fresh tyres that are on board Caronini's wagon, pushing his way through. Eyes on this one, further down, big send for Zach Green there, pushing his way through. In fact, I think that's a little further down in the order. But everyone's still pushing their way in these early stages of this race. So we've had some big movers through the field in this one. Mark Granada is one of them for the Mole Racing team. That was him losing out actually to Isaac Sayer in the Jamie Green Racing Machine kart. So that's Sayer up into P15 now. Svensson losing out as well, dropping down to 17th place. But they're all up in that top section and looking mighty strong. Pantano racing across the line with Ruben Moya. Gap was 1.3, now is 1.1. It's coming down, Nicole. We are going to have a fight for the lead, but in the meantime, let's watch this one, which is Morgan Moore and Sebastiano Pavan, who sends it down the inside.
Pavan then, on that previous lap, looked like he just hunted down a couple of extra tenths. And like you said, Anthony, down the inside, textbook overtake into turn number 4. Caronini goes fastest. That's why that 1.3 second gap that Moya had has now gone down to 1.1. Pavan looking hungry all over the rumble strip out of turn number 5. Alpha Swedes lost somebody out there. That's the 2.16 for MDL.
Yeah, that's Mark Granada for the Mole Racing team out of this race. And unfortunately, I think he had a moment with Isaac Sayer because he also tumbled down the order at the same time. And Isaac Sayer now circulating in 29th place after we're talking about him. Just getting that overtake and pushing himself up the sharp end of the order. Eyes now focusing back on this one. Sebastiano Pavan on the charge again, but this time now to Kevin Lantinga in 3rd place. And that's going to be a feisty battle, I can imagine, Nicole.
Yeah, I would say so. We spoke to Sebastiano Pavan earlier on in the weekend. He said he was here trying to help out teammate of Ruben Moya. But within this one, he needs to try and help himself. Going into turn number 11, can he be a bit braver on the brakes compared to the croc in front of him? It looks like he's achieved just yet as they head through turn number 12. The gap now between Moya and the Italian of Danny Caronini is 9/10 of a second. I would say, Anthony Jordan, there's plenty of time for Caronini to catch up. It's now 0.8 of a second that splits up the two, as Pavan now makes that overtake through turn number 3 to get the legs on Lantinga. Further down in that top 10 there, we've got the shuffling of position between Mikalev and Caruccio going at it. Morgan Moore still confirmed in that P5. Mikalev then up by 1 position within the race. Qualified P20 overall, found himself on the 4th row in the start, but now is trying to pluck off position. Still, the gap between Moya and Caronini is wide open, but it's 7/10 now. And I think Moya, who looks over his shoulder as they head towards the blind crest, towards the final corner, is starting to get a little bit rattled. There he is, ducking under the steering wheel to try and let some of that headwind go over him. Into turn number 4 they go, and the Italian of Caronini looking hungry out of turn number 4. Pavan sat there in 3rd, no real change between him and Lantinga. Lantinga once more within this race, just tailing off as we get to that middle section, down towards the bumpy part of 9 and 10, the bumpiest bit of the track, which is actually quite smooth. We do have a bit of elevation change, but nothing overly major. And now that gap, Anthony, I would say, is being closed by Danny Caronini.
Oh, well, it certainly is. 0.6 of a second now is the gap, and you can see that closing in nicely as the train all forms its way through. I was just thinking for Mark Granado and Luca Horton, this is going to be a tough one for them as out of the race as
Luca Horton.
Yeah, we were just talking about him. And yeah, he is unfortunately just tumbled and pulled himself into the pit lane area, or the Parc Ferme area, I should say. But yeah, that's a big shame for him. And I think for Luca Horton, well, he started this in the 8th row of the grid. He was on the cusp there of being in the danger zone. That might have done it for him. He might not get through. Mark Granada, who's also had dramas out there, is out of the race, is also out of the weekend. He will not make the final. He started this race on the 11th row of the grid.
Names we have mentioned a lot during the weekend, but not within this race, include Bertram Sash and Fred Lloyd. Started quite high up in the order. Lloyd started on that 2nd row. Now finds himself battling it out with his 2 countrymen of Mackie and Zach Green. Over the line they go once more. Moya has opened that gap up once more, gives himself 7 tenths now instead of 6. Pavan looks pretty settled and confirmed in that 3rd position, but Lantinga, Moore and Mikalev by eye on the back of your screen look like they're closing up there. They are just heading out of turn number 6. Moya heads down the hill through 9 and 10, 8 tenths splits up him and the Italian. I would say within these closing couple of stages, although the race remains wide open, Moya is going to need to make a big mistake, really trip over himself if Carinini wants a chance. Moore still continuing to chase down Lantinga out of turn number 12 and is pulling round Mikalev still. Further down in the order, we were talking about the likes of Mackie, Lloyd and Green. They are still currently 10th, 11th and 12th. Few drivers tumbling down the order. Then at the back of your field guns, Markelbag has dropped down to 30th. Maybe a bit of an incident out there on the track for him, like we just saw one of the carts parked out there. That's the mole of Mark Granada's carts, sitting a bit lonely out on the grass. Blanchman goes fastest in the late stages of the race, quite late to be putting in that purple lap. It's 13th place for Blanchman, currently chasing down Green, Lloyd and Mackie. Moya still continuing to look over his shoulder at Danny Carinini, but Carinini looks like he's just lost a few legs now as the gap gets put back up once more to 9 tenths of a second.
You know, I think it's because he knows that even if he gets past Ruben Moya, he's not going to gain anything from it. He's in a good position here as down the inside. Jacob Mikalev fighting with Morgan Moore, has got that move done and steps up into P5, while now Rocco Cruccio and Bertram Sash also tried to get involved. Sash, who found himself fighting at the sharp end of the order throughout these qualifying heats, did struggle a little bit. Now he's found some mustard in his sandwich and he's pushed himself forward nicely. Don't know what saying that was, but it came out of my mouth.
You just made that up, I think.
I did. Right, Ruben Moya, though, in the lead. He's opened up the gap back to 1 second. And yeah, I think Danica, he's just checked over the shoulder, can see that Pavan is miles behind him. No need to stress the cart out, no need to do anything dramatic. Do the job in the final is I think the game plan for him.
Absolutely, there's no point in barreling into corners too hard, overcooking it and then reducing that gap, putting yourself at risk of being overtaken. But he's not letting off, because Moya puts in that fastest lap, snatches that away from Blanchman, who previously set it. Blanchman still sat there just outside of the top 10, but now it's 12th instead of 13th for him. Battles going on. This is behind Sash between Caruccio and Hirsch, trying to trade position for that 8th and 9th. Hirsch trying to have a look. Dying stages now, really, as we've got Pavan looking over his shoulder. Not too much to think about Kevin Lantinga there for you, Sebastiano. You've given yourself some good room to breathe. Moya out there in the front, opens it up to over a second again as they head out of turn number 4, that banked, positively cambered corner. Final lap. Moya approaches the tarmac corner by corner, getting the run out of everything, as Danny Carinini, despite wanting to baby that kart home, sets a fastest lap on the very last moment, but it's not going to be enough because your Spaniard out there in the front of Ruben Moya, a driver who missed that previous round but has not been despondent or put off by that, because he's got one job to do here this weekend, which is win, and it looks like he's going to do just that for the first Senior X30 Superheat.
He certainly will do. Ruben Moya, who scored 25 points yesterday, will secure 25 more points now. There will be nothing that your pole sitter in 2B2, Joanna Luja, can do. He had those 2 second places yesterday, will not be able to close in. So Ruben Moya secures pole position and secures 25 more championship points to his name. The Spaniard who sits 8th in the points after missing as well will obviously drop those scores. He didn't score any points there in the qualifying heats in Cremona, so he's still got a bit of work to do this season if he wants to close in on the sharp end. But Moya has done enough here in Wackersdorf and will take those points and will start on pole. However, the job for starting alongside on the front row is not done yet. Danny Carinini has done enough at the moment with 306 points to his name after that P2 ahead of Sebastiano Pavan, Kevin Lantinga and Jacob Mikalev from Morgan Moore, Bertram Sash from Rocco Caruccio, Freddie Lloyd from Nicholas Hirsch and Harrison Mackie. Current championship leader finishing that one in P11. Maxime Blanchemont from Zach Green, Otto Buchanan from Matthias van der Kerkhoff. Then it is Paul Andriotis from Elo Gonzalez, Raquel Zarif from Philip Svensson, Roberto Bass, I should say, from Senior Ornball, Maximilian Egger Stadler from Isaac Say, Luca Millard from Morgan Knudsen, Peter Gorecki from Elias Leman, Emmanuel Leodikis and Luca Mann rounding out the 29 finishers in that one. Gimes Merkelbach, Sarah Effert, Luca Horton and Mark Granada all retiring from the race. Not the results they will have wanted, and for a lot of those drivers the weekend is over for them. They will not make it to that final. For this man here though on your screen, Ruben Moya, not only is he through into that final, but he'll be starting it right on pole position after scoring another 25 championship points to his name. The sun was shining on Senior X30 as they made their way in towards turn number 1. The 2 Panzano drivers trying again to go for 1 and 2. You see there how Moya cuts across the front of Danny Carinini, just allowed Sebastiano Pavan to go through, but Pavan leaving the door open. Kevin Lantinga sideways under braking managed to squeeze his way through into second place. The early stage of that race as well, you had the likes of Morgan Moore fighting at the sharp end, Luca Horton. Devastating result there for Luca Horton. That run there might knock him out of the chance of getting into that final. But for these drivers now, it is just a case of what happens for those races later on today. Here though, we will see what happens. So there was the moment for Mark Granada out of the race. He would not be taking part in that final. That is a huge shame for him. As Jacob Mikalev was another driver pushing his way through the field nicely. 2 places gained. That was Luca Horton after the disaster earlier on. Heavy damage to that nose cone. He will not, I don't think he'll take part in that final. That is a lot of damage to his wagon there. But if he is going to make it to the final, that is going to be all the way at the back of the grid. Once more, Jacob Mikalev was on the scene as we had dramas for the BMR team. Unfortunately there you were seeing Luca Mann, I think, the 212, having a torrid weekend here and falling to the back of the grid. But for Ruben Moya, that weekend has only just begun now. 50 championship points to his name after the qualifying heats and the super heats, and will start on pole for the final. Let's head down to Parc Ferme to Nicole Sutherland.
Down then with our race winner of Ruben Moya. And Ruben, I think what confirmed another race win for you just then was that start. You've perfected pretty much every single one this weekend. The tactic and the skill that goes into that, can you tell us?
You just need to be very confident in what you can do and the machine you have. So if you know perfectly what the grip you have and what you can do, then it's easier to make good starts and things like that.
And the machine that you are on this weekend, you look confident, and I'd say a lot of confidence in the setup of the carts as well. How do you, over a weekend, develop and ensure that you're putting the right setup on the cart?
Well, for us it's quite easy. Our chassis always works good. Normally standard, we don't have to change every session the setup. So when we found the thing that it works all over the week. So also for the driver it's easier because the chassis works every session the same. So yeah, you get the less grip during the heats because you are using the tire, but you are not changing nothing. So it's easier to drive, and you drive always the same. So it's easier to do less mistakes, and it's easier to be perfect.
So it actually sounds like kind of the more standard that you go on the kart, the better you feel. And going into the finals later on, Ruben, we of course have one more senior superheat to go, but do you feel pretty dialed in, pretty confident?
Well, we have to see at the end. Everything can happen. So there are very good drivers also around me. Karin is fast, Luigi is fast, Aaron is fast. So yeah, always respect the other driver because they can also win. We are everyone here to win. So yeah, I feel pretty confident. But anyway, we have to stay alert with the other drivers.
Well, we'll find out who is going to win this next senior superheats. Ruben, thank you for your time and a good race win. We'll head back up then because it's one more superheat to confirm our positions for the finals later on.
Thank you very much, Nicole Sutherland. Yes, indeed, those drivers will be heading out onto the circuit very, very soon. Senior X30 Superheat 2 heading out onto the track, which will have Joanna Luja starting this one on pole position. Smackering of tyres going on board. Joanna Luja and Lars Rammer on the front row of the grid have deployed them on the left-hand side of their kart. And the same as the rest of the field as well. A lot of drivers have deployed them. 5 drivers in the top 6 have all deployed them as well. The only driver who hasn't is Rick Nadin. He deployed his yesterday, so he'll have to deal with used tyres in this one. But for the rest of the drivers, still a lot of work needs to happen over the course of this race. For Joanna Luja, he knows he can't secure pole position for this one. But he can still put it on the front row of the grid. That's the most important one for him. He needs to be able to put Danny Carinini up a little bit further back in the order in this race. But let's see if he can make that one work. Still a lot of fights he's got to do. We obviously saw this same sort of scenario earlier on in the juniors. Didier Kreeft in the second race needed to win to put himself in that position. Unfortunately, that didn't go his way for Joanna Luja, though. His pace has been exemplary this weekend, but the drivers around him have got fresh tyres on board, so they will still be a challenge for him in this race. Other drivers to keep a close eye on in this fight, I would say, is Donovan Bonilla of Mexico, who starts this one on the 7th row of the grid. Has got new tyres on board, but this time on the right-hand side. Everyone else in front of him have all gone for the left-hand side. He has gone for the right-hand side, so it'll be crucial to see how that changes for him. Nicole Sutherland joins me back into the commentary box. You can see there the balcony filling up with everyone watching along. You've got the Ubic Racing team there on the far left-hand side. You've got some of the Fusion team there, some of the VDK boys in there as well. RC2 are there also, watching along with all the drivers ready ahead of this race. But this is going to be an exciting one still. Moira, of course, has got control of this one. Carini is there. Nicole Sutherland joined me back into the box. Ruben seemed pretty happy there, knowing that he's going to be starting on pole position. Yeah, absolutely. Pretty standard stuff by Ruben. Then he always comes to these races, knows that he's got a job to do, and so far this weekend has achieved just yet. How will the points fare, though? Front row is lined up by Joanna Aluya and Lars Rammer. I think those two drivers within the final, like Ruben said, could be two of the ones to maybe give him a run for his money. Drivers may be a bit out of position going into this race. We've got Lewis Bird sat there on the 6th row, qualified overall 13th in TQ, but has lost some positions after having a DNF, a bit of bad luck. So maybe that's an aim to keep the eye on. That's the 217. Indeed. Well, engines fire up. Drivers make their way out onto the circuit. Let's take you through that full starting lineup. Joanna Luja and Lars Rammer will go from row number 1. Aaron Garcia and Max Radek go from row 2. Rick Nadim and Christian Biasati will lock out the top 6 there. We'll go from row number 3. They'll have Florent Panet and Clement Utron on row 4. Andy Brattel has gone for a fresh set of tyres on the left-hand side. Love Roxanne Lantinga alongside for company. Lewis Bird and Marlon Bayer go from row 6. Donovan Bonilla and Tobias Norman go from row 7. They'll have Alex Pineda and Louis Mas on row number 8. Max Hetzel and Max Kamalanda will round out the top 18 on the cutoff for the final later on.
Well, the following drivers on row number 10 are in trouble. It could be their last moments. It's Emil Beatti and Luna Claret. From 11, we have Hugo Gillet and Kevin Bakker. And from 12 is Sam van der Heijden with Henry Carter. 13 looks like Marcel Matovic with Senna Munar. And from 14, we have Nicholas Nick with Adam Elbasoni. 15 is Alejandro Suarez with Luke Taylor. 12, Dan Bridgen with Michael Gorecki. And going from 13, we have Esteban Volgrave with Paco Sarmiento. 18 rows within this final X30 Superheats. And on 35th, it's Inan De Vos. And 36th is Sophia Sage.
Dylan De Vos not there on the grid for this one, is missing. So just the 35 drivers in this race.
259 out of position, late out of the grid.
259 out of position in this one. So that is Kevin Bakker in the 259, who should have been starting this one 22nd place. So, well, we'll have to wait and see. Right, the last time for the Superheats phase, synchronization time. What are we going to see from Tatiana and Tizia here as the field goes through? Wait for it. Patience. 3, 2, 1. Lovely. Look at that. That's a 9.5 for me on that one. That's nicely done. Here we go. Once again. Pace, nice and slow. Joanna Luja and Lars Rama on the front row of the grid. Can Joanna Luja take Danny Caronini off the front row of the grid? Lights are not out. They're going round again. Our first false start of the day, Nicole.
A bit quick, I think that was, out of the final corner. Drivers in the mid-pack just not finding themselves in position. There you can see Dan Ashton, our Deputy Race Director, just wouldn't have been happy with that out of the final corner.
Well, we'll find out.
We are not racing. 255, far too early on the gas.
255 early on the gas. Crucially, though, I didn't say about the mid-pack, but I did spot the mid-pack there, Nicole, so well spotted on that one. So, yes, indeed, that was a bit of a shaky start there, and, yeah, Joanna Luja, feisty on the throttle, understandable, bit of pressure on him to start alongside Ruben Moya for that final. They had a race yesterday, did Joanna Luja and Ruben Moya. Moya came out on top of that race, which is why he has secured pole position. For Joanna Luja, the best he can do is the front row, but that puts him, like you say, in that same position he was in earlier on. There's Henry Carter, the only driver not warming tyres up. That's his best impression of Kimi Räikkönen, I think, in Formula 1 racing. Here we go then. Field makes his way through. It was a 9.5 earlier on. Oh, that was a bit out of sync that time, but still, I'll keep their 9.5 from the previous round. Back of the grid not formed up. Front is good. Lights are out. We're racing down towards turn number 1. Good start for Joanna Luja then in the lead. Aaron Garcia follows through. It's MDC Racing 1-2 right now as Rick Nadin tries to go down the inside, 3 wide on the entrance. Pile up at turn number 3. Hugo Gillet is one of them there as well. You can see the 230 has had drama there as well. That is Marcel Matijevic, unfortunately going no further in this race. I think with Max Hetzel involved in something there as well. But that's drama for him. Senna Munir was another one of those, and I think Michael Gorecki was one as well as Sam van der Heijden. So there's more drama there as well. The 259 going no further and grinding to a halt. That's Kevin Bakker. We heard a voice message about him on the radio saying he was out of position anyway, but he's out of the race now as well, as so is a smattering of other drivers. And for the first time this weekend, Nicole, slow procedure is out. The race is neutralised for Joanna Luja and Ana Garcia. They need to slow the pace down at the front of the field as the hard-working Marshals team gets to work at turn number 4.
Absolutely, that's the Marshals just clearing Michael Gorecki's kart off of the track at turn number 4. It was just left parked in the middle of the corner. Joanna Luja then leading the rest of the field around as we go through this procedure. This is a one for drivers. it's really easy in situations like this for drivers to break their concentration. So Joanne really needs to focus within this one, not go too fast, get that balance of speed correct, and not also get caught sleeping. Now then, on the timing screens, I think Roxanne Lantinga has been involved in something out there on the track, because she has dropped down the board to 25th. Not sure if maybe that's a transponder of Roxanne actually has been involved, but I can't see her just yet. She's a driver that had a P3 in heats yesterday, as we've got technical flags going out for one of the drivers.
That is for Donovan Bonilla, unfortunately. The Mexican driver will be out of this race, and that is a big shame for him. For Roxanne Lantinga, not sure what's happened yet. She's circulating in 25th place. She's tumbled down the order at the start of this one, so that is a big shame for her, but she is still in the race right now. Still under slow procedure. Now we'll know when the procedure is going to end. You'll see static yellow flags out there, which at this moment I believe we can see. So that means at the end of this lap we should be green and racing. However, well, there's Kevin Backer under the sunshade there, and oh dear, that's never a nice sight to see. He's out of the race and might be out of the weekend as well. Right to the line. Pace is picked up quite considerably. It's slowed down now. Green flag at the ready. We are racing again, I believe. Yes, we are indeed, as they get going once more. And Aluja leads the way, but he's going to lose out potentially on his teammate. No, not this time around. Rick Nadin's trying to get the move done on the outside of Lars Rammer, but he can't get that move done. And now Christian Biasati sends it down the inside at turn 6 and pushes his way through nicely. So that's a good start for them, but crucially for Joanna Aluja, that restart, no drama there whatsoever. Like we said then, Lantinga does find herself really far down the order, but has picked off 2 positions so far within the race restart. Biasati then leads from Aluja. No, he doesn't. It's a timing issue there. It is Aluja out there in the front, leads the way from teammate of Aaron Garcia for MDC. Lars Rammer still trying to hustle hard in that P3, and followed shortly behind is Biasati. Luz Mas making up a smattering of positions so far. 11th place game to break into the top 5. Not quite enough yet, because it is a 4-kart breakaway for this race lead. Joanne leads into turn number 6, heads up the hill, gets that good rev, carries lots of minimum speed down once more into 9 and 10, that bumpier section of the track, running the rumble strip, then set things up into the hairpin of turn number 11. Down they go then. It's still the 4 karts, nobody attempting anything, nobody trying to take the devil by the horns of Joanna Aluja just yet, but Garcia is a teammate, and I would say that's going to come into play. You don't want to do a high risk, high reward move when it's your teammate, because if it goes wrong, I wouldn't want to be a fly on the wall in the MDC awning. Down they go once more through turn number 3, into 4. No driver close enough to each other just yet to go for a lunge, but Biasati there looking hungry on the back of Rammer. Further down in the field then, big movers. Albasioni in 15th, up by 13. Does more than Lewis Mas, who sat there in 5th with that 11th place gain. Christian Biasati now is your fastest driver on the circuit. We said it, in P4, looking hungry to go into that 3rd position. Drivers who started this one at the back of the field and out of contention to make it into the final are pushing their way forward. One of those being Adam Albasoni, currently in 15th place. He is right on the cutoff at the moment, as he started from the back end of the field. He will need to go a little bit higher up in this order to really help himself out to get into that final, but right now not going his way fully. Still there you can see Ruben Moore leads the points. We knew that was clear. Nothing Joanna Aluja could do in this one apart from win the race and put himself on the front row of the grid. Lantinga will see a 5-second penalty. So Roxanne Lantinga, unfortunately, losing out even more in this race now. That's a big shame there. Battle's looking still feisty for 5th and 6th place. Max Radek battling away with Lewis Mas. That is a P6 just in the background. That has died down now as they push their way forward. Crucially at the front here, a nice, calm, steady race to the top 4 right now, and no real dramas happening between Aluya Garcia, Rama and Biasati. Despite that, Christian Biasati on cue, down the inside, says to Ramas, good, cool, let's go.
It's like he could hear you out there. Then Anthony heard you say it was calm and said, actually, watch this. Into P3 he goes. Rattel sets the fastest lap so far in the race. He's your driver sat there in 5th behind Rama. Then we've got Radek, Mass and Bird. But these top 10 really are quite settled down. Everybody found a bit of a rhythm. Further down in the order, big movers, Adam Elbasoni, like we said, in 15th place, up by 13 positions. Luke Taylor up by 10 to get into the top 20. Lantinga then, with that 5-second penalty, she's currently in 18th place, but adding 5 seconds to her time would drop her to actually near enough last on the road. She'd end up in about 28th position. Points on the board currently after these Superheats. Moya, 3.34 at the moment, leading from Joanna Luya, your race leader, who is on 3.28. Danny Caronini, the Italian, in 3rd with 3.08. And then we have Garcia, Sebastiano Pavan, Lars Ramos, Christian Biasati, and then Kevin Lantinga in 8th.
Indeed. So race now on to lap 9 of 14. And at this moment, Biasati still trying to close in on Garcia. With that gap closing in, check over the shoulder there for them. Eyes further down in this order right now. Andy Rattel, who's in 5th place, all on his own there, Nicole. Fastest driver on circuit. That is a 49.819 across the line this time around. Purple in all sectors, albeit he just lost out in the Sector 3 purple time. That's gone to Alex Pineda, who's currently in 12th place. But Andy Rattel, confirmation of that time, 49.819, very quick. He is trying to close in on Lars Ramos here now. We could have 5 carts battling at the sharp end. Absolutely
could, but your front two look really settled there for MDC. Garcia not really taking any time out of Joanne. Times being put in, only separated by around about half a tenth. Out of the final corner they will go. A lull phase within this race. I expected a dramatic one for our final race before the lunch break, but that's not what we're seeing so far. Aluya trying to push though, gets his head underneath the wheel to try and duck under some of that headwind that is out there. Through turn number 5 and towards 6, no mistakes, gets the corner done, on the brakes, no slide, doesn't roll off of things, perfects then 8, uses all of the runoff, all of the rumble to set up into 9 and 10, getting a bit of a wider entry. The drivers don't want to turn in too early, they'll end up too tight to the white line and then miss that setup into the curb of 10. Aluya still leading from Garcia, these two sector by sector, pretty similar times, but Garcia does put in a purple sector number 2.
I'm just going to throw this one out there. Joanna Luya's pace, obviously very good, 49.846 out there in the previous laps, and he's continuing to put that on at the moment. He's just set his new personal best lap of the race. However, that is still a tenth slower than what Ruben Moya did in the race that's just happened, as well as Ruben Moya was on used tyres as well. Joanna Luya is on a fresh set on the left-hand side, showcasing that the pace still from the Pantano team driver still looks a little bit faster. And when these two are fighting on the front end of that field, all of them with a full set of new tyres, what does that mean for that race?
Well, Moya, he didn't keep it a secret when it came to that kart setup. He said he's got the kart dialed in, but the setup is quite standard. They've not done anything big or heroic on the chassis, on the front, on the rear. Nothing, too untoward, maybe on the axle. A pretty standard setup for him. So, it shows that it's really being put to good use. He's using the kart out there, and that's why he's maybe just pipped the rest of the field to an extra 10.
Dear.
As there's dramas out there for one of the Birrells, that's a through 20 tumbling down the order. That's Sophia Sage with another DNF this weekend to round out her weekend. Will not make that final.
No, unfortunately for Sophia Sage, started this one at the back of the grid on row 18, and unfortunately that will not be well received, and weekend over. For the other drivers though, the weekend I think is only just beginning with that final coming up later on today for the seniors. Moya obviously will be starting that one on pole position, But for Joanna Luja on the last lap of this race is looking to start on the front row alongside him. Fresh tyres will be on board for both of those drivers, but it is just a case now of waiting and seeing what happens in Senior X30. But round this lap for the last time, we've been talking about him for a few laps. He's looked smooth, calm and collected. Has Joanna Luja this weekend. The MDC Racing team have delivered a sublime package for him. And now he sets a 49.726. That's a lovely lap on the previous one. And showcasing the pace is there for the Spaniard. Joanna Luja across the line, wins Superheat 2 ahead of Aaron Garcia, Christian Biasati from Lars Rammer, Andy Rattel from Max Radek, Louis Mas from Lewis Bird, Alex Pineda and Jamil Bayati, who rounds out the top 10. Louis Mas and Jamil Bayati, both of them having a really good race in that one. Both of them 9 places gained there to finish inside the top 10. And for Jamil Bayati, he was right on the cutoff there. Is that enough to get him through into that final? We'll have to wait and see for him. For a lot of these drivers, tough run in those races. But for Joanna Luja, job is done. Front row start for Spain. Moya and Aluja on the front row of the grid for that final. Danny Caronini and Aaron Garcia make it Italian and Spain row number 2 for the final. There's your results. The top 10 we've gone over. Tobias Norman finishing in 11th place from Clement Houtoin, Marlon Bayer from Rick Nadin, Adam Albersoini from Florent Panet, Senna Mudir from Henry Carter, who rounds out the top 18. Big movers happening down there. Adam Albersoini, biggest mover of the race to finish inside the top 15. Drivers further down on the order, Roxanne Lantinga finishing in P90, and I think unfortunately as well picking up that 5-second time penalty. Will drop down even further. Max Camalanda finishing in 20th place ahead of Luna Claret. Nicolas Simic from Esteban Walgrave, Walgarve I should say. Dan Bridgen from Alejandro Suarez. Luke Taylor from Paco Salmento. And Donovan Bonilla, who round out the 28 finishers in that race. The retirements, Sophia Sage, Max Hetzel, Hugo Gelade, Kevin Bakker, Sembada Hayden, Marcel Matievich, and Michael Gorecki, the non-starter of Dinan Divos. The highlights from that race, false start the first run for them. Initially then, the second go, all good for the field. As we're at the sharp end, it was all fine and clear. Then you had the Gelade, Hetzel, Sembada Hayden, Marcel Matievich and Michael Gorecki pile up into turn number 4, and that is just an unfortunate one there. Blink and you'll have missed it, and that is a huge shame for them. All out of the race, but I think thankfully the only injuries are to the karts, and there you can see, yeah, lots of cleanup work had to be done there. Which did bring out the slow procedure. Kevin Bakker as well out of the race. Disaster for him. He as well might be one who will still potentially, no he won't, he started this race in 22nd place. That'll be out of the race for him, which is a big shame for Kevin Bakker. Well, let's head down to Parc Ferme to Nicole Sutherland, who I'm sure will be chatting to Joanna Luja.
Absolutely, then Antti, Joanne, good race win there. We saw the slow procedure at one stage, and as the race leader, how did you deal with it to keep that concentration going?
Well, it was quite early in the race because we have just started, so it didn't change a lot my thing of the race. And then when it was just green, and we went for it.
And Joanne, going into the finals later on, you're starting right at the front end. We interviewed Ruben Moya earlier on, and he seemed very, very confident as always. What's it going to take on Ruben Moya?
Well, for sure, I'm also very confident. I will go for it, and I will try to beat Ruben for sure.
And as drivers that have competed against each other for a number of years now, do you think you have a bit more insight into the way that he races? Do you think you know what he's going to try and do?
Well, I think that in each circuit, each time we come here, it will be different. It's true that we know each other from a long time, but it will be as always for sure.
Well, we'll see how it plays out, Joanne. Good luck for later on, and well done on a Superheats win. We'll head back up then to Anthony Jordan in the box, but that rounds out our last rotation of heats. They were Superheats. We've confirmed our positions for the finals later on. Anthony, what time can we expect those?
Thank you very much, Nicole Sutherland. We can expect those in around about, well, 45 minutes time or so. They can see the Minis will be the first to head out onto the circuit. They will go green flag at 1:15. We'll be back for the broadcast at probably around 1 o'clock, so it's around about half an hour's time. Then for the juniors and then the seniors, they'll be all going through 3 more races to go to see who will head to Marienburg for the final round of the IAME Euro Series as championship leader. Right now, though, the points have fluctuated a little bit, but the fight is not over. We'll see you for those finals very, very soon. Don't go anywhere.